Hey friends, welcome into another edition of 4 Minutes on Friday. Wanted to talk about something that I talk a lot about in my roles with the church and the shelter and some other things that I end up doing. I end up talking about leadership a lot, and there are several things over the course of my history, my work history with churches and other organizations that I have that really kind of calcified over maybe this past year or so. And that is very simply, and this will not be new information if you pay attention to leadership conversations at all. I'm not going to tell you anything new here. This is going to be stuff that you've probably heard before and probably heard said better than what I'm going to do in these few minutes. But essentially, it boils down to this: leadership and leading are not about title, and leadership is not really even about who's in charge. I mean, that's one of the things that you can tell sometimes a bad leader from a good leader is how often do they talk about the fact that they're in charge. If they talk about and they're reminding you or the people that they work with, that work for them or work under them, if they are constantly reminding everybody around them, hey, I'm in charge, I'm the one making decisions here, you can usually follow that down the line and begin to realize pretty quickly that's not a good leader. You might even go so far as to say that that's a bad leader. And yes, I think there is a difference between not a good leader and a bad leader. Leadership is about influence. I think it was Rick Warren that said that. Gosh, this has been at least 20 years ago now. It's probably longer than that. In fact, I'm sure it's longer than 20 years ago that he kind of calcified that phrase. Leadership is about influence, which means if you do something, if you go somewhere and people follow you, even if you don't have a leadership title, you are in fact a leader. So yes, leadership can be bad. There are plenty of bad people can be great leaders. You look at history and those who have marshaled all kinds of individuals and resources and a movement of people to do horrid atrocities. You don't have to work very hard to see that, to find that. So yeah, bad people can be good leaders. In essence, we just talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Convincing others to come along with a dumb idea, just because you have a mass of people doing a dumb thing doesn't automatically make it a better thing. It's still a dumb idea. Waiting for someone else to do something that is easily taken care of. In other words, saying, well, that's not really my responsibility, so I'm not doing that. I'm not going to engage in that place. And many times the things that we point to and say, well, that's somebody else's job, many times those things aren't that difficult and they don't really cost you all that much to go ahead and do the thing that no one else wants to do. Quite honestly, that is what leadership looks like. That is what leadership is, how leadership is best reflected is when people in positions that are leadership type positions, but they are constantly serving other people in ways that, and we'll put this in air quotes, in ways that they don't have to do, in ways that they don't have to serve, but they're going ahead and doing that anyways, operating with a profound sense of humility. That's good leadership. Doing things that no one else wants to do. That's good leadership. And you don't have to have a title. You don't have to be a recognized or sought after leader to be a good leader, to have influence in people's lives. If you find ways to serve others, people are going to be drawn to that. And you're going to end up leading in some capacity the lives of other people. So leadership, just be reminded, leadership isn't about your title or your position. It's about how well, in some regards, and we'll just keep this very simplistic, it is about, in some regards, how well you serve other people. That is, if I could say it very simply, that's the root of leadership. How well do you serve others? If you're not serving others, people are going to follow you, but they only follow you for so long. We need to figure out how best to serve others. All right, see you next week.